All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Sir Splash, and today with me is someone you've seen before, my boy Kratos.
Yeah, what's up, Splash?
All right, so what we have today is, not surprisingly, a Kratos-based video. So
Wow.
what me and Kratos have talked about before, and we just had a pretty long discussion on what would happen is, what if Kratos was in Skyrim? So the three scenarios we're going to go over. First one is Kratos is going to break down what would Kratos be capable of doing if he was just randomly dropped into Skyrim with his already predisposed powers and like power level and shit. What he would do. And then scenario 2, he is a non-playable character, but he tags along with you as the Dovahkiin, like you're the Dovahkiin, he's Kratos, and we'll explain how that would work. And then scenario 3, he is the playable character. So for scenario 1, real quick, Kratos, you want to kind of get into what your boy is capable of?
Yeah, right. So, with the way it was explained to me, if Kratos was just thrown into this realm right out of nowhere, he would most likely be around like a brawling type magic type person. Because like he's a very intelligent person, lots of use with magic, brawling, fighting, etc. So the first thing what that would happen would be he would just, because it depends on which Kratos, right? We're assuming this is like Ascension Kratos mindset with like his like peak power, right, Splash?
Yeah. So like for this first scenario, everything, like it's kind of composite Kratos, just like he gets dropped into Tamriel with all his shit, and then he's given no context to what the fuck's going on, but just kind of how would he react to what's going on, and what I'll kind of, after you scale him, I'll get into the verse and how he would scale to the verse. So
he gets dropped in. The first thing that he would most likely do would be to just travel, right? And he would want to be left alone as well. Because he's being dropped in this realm with no context, like it's really hard to properly judge what he would do, right, in a situation like this. He would most likely he would first look for the context, right? And he would just try to discover his way around and learn what's happening, right? Like he would try to get a general idea of the area, if there are any like gods of this realm, right? And just like a general idea of that. That's how I see what he would do if he were to just be dropped in with no context. That's how I see it going for him.
all right, so this is always funny to me to think about, because it's sad but funny as shit. But going off lore, I think what would happen is Kratos would stumble upon a river, see a mud crab. Mud crab ain't no bitch, so mud crab's gonna pull up, and Kratos is gonna be like, all right, dude, it's a fucking crab, let me feed it the hands. And then he would realize this verse is absolutely fucked. Like, this basic ass crab could legitimately be a threat to even prime Kratos. Like some of the scaling for this, so Tamriel, Nirn, the world, it's the corpse of Lorcan who transcends an outerversal realm a few times. And like Dragon Rent is and the magic used is supposed to be boundless in comparison, and it's like above Oblivion. And even when you use magic on mud crabs, they'll tank that shit and just keep coming. So like this mud crab legit could be like, yo, I ain't no bitch, son. And so if the crabs don't kill him, let's say he does manage to beat the crab, right? Or the 2 or 3 crabs. He's fucked up. How would he act after that?
After getting fucked up by crabs?
Yeah, just crabs. He's like, oh shit, like
He'd probably be what the fuck. He was just flabbergasted, like. He'd be like, wow, I was just trying to get a meal, you know? Like, I was hungry. Like, so, with the way he is, he would be very, very fucking confused. He would try looking for a safe haven, and then he would try healing himself, and then he would try to stay away from those crabs. Like, if he's realizing that such little things are that strong, you know, it's
What's the likelihood of him essentially being like, okay, he could look at it two ways. One, it just so happens he ran into some fucking godly being that looked like a crab.
Yes.
Or two, he recognizes that everything here is a legit threat. Which scenario do you think Kratos would probably lean towards?
He would probably realize that everything is a threat.
Okay. Yeah, so, dude, I don't know where it goes from there, because obviously, Kratos is gonna get fucked up, if he doesn't somehow find a way to bolster his, attributes. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, it is very possible, but,
because, like, the thing is with Kratos, right, like, he's not the kind to back down. He's not the kind to run away. So, like, because, like, even when the directors talk about him as a character, right, they state that they have rules for Kratos. He never takes a knee, he never backs down, and he never runs away. The only time he will ever back down or, you know, back to the floor, kneel down, is when he's struggling immensely and having very, very high difficulty. In character, he will never ever run away. He will only ever die or beat the other character. That's the type of character Kratos is.
Okay, yeah, so,
or knock him out. Like, if they knock him out, then he can't really do much.
Yeah, so if he were... This is the issue. If he were to run into Dovahkiin, he's gonna get his shit rocked. And the issue is, it's not necessarily that Kratos would just pick a fight with Dovahkiin. It's that if you're the Dovahkiin and you're walking around and you're used to getting jumped by everything and their mama when you're traveling, and including like bandits and shit, and you see this big ass fucking, like, how tall is he?
He's 8 foot.
Yeah, Dovahkiin's like, dude, fuck that. And he's got, like, those chain swords attached to him. Yeah. Dovahkiin's like, dude, you literally look like a fight. Like, I gotta run your fade. And Kratos would die immediately. That would be an issue there. So that would probably... I mean, to be honest, with Kratos being dropped in, going off his own scaling, not scaling to this verse... He just wouldn't. It'd be a waiting game, essentially. That's the sad truth. So
he just can't do much if you're using his scaling from, like, his verse. Because, like, at most he caps off at 5D, and then with Wank you can get him to outerversal and shit. But if these characters are like layers into outerversal, like, yeah, Kratos just won't be able to do anything at all.
It's so much. Yeah, it's so much fucking fun to think of the idea of a mud crab giving him the hands.
Yeah.
Alright, so scenario 2, non-playable character Kratos. Do you want to go ahead and talk about the storyline we agreed would be really cool to see Kratos in which he would be willing to help the Dovahkiin?
Yeah, so what Splash and I discussed was that Alduin, right, the destroyer of worlds, right, like, he consumes cosmoses and shit, isn't that right, Splash? And, like, worlds in general?
Yeah, he consumes creation.
Mm-hmm. So in this scenario, we're assuming we're not going to be using basic Kratos scaling, right? Like, we're going to assume that he can somewhat scale to this verse. And with the way that we had the story play out was that Alduin actually invades Kratos' world, right? Which would be the Greek pantheon. And again, we would assume this is like Kratos with all his weapons and hacks but we would assume that he's obviously relative to this Skyrim verse. And what would happen would be, being as this is Ascension Kratos' mindset, and like Chains of Olympus and so on, he would still be in servitude to the gods, right? Like Zeus. So Alduin invades, he kills all these gods, and with Zeus's last breath, he's like, yo, Kratos, avenge us. And then he gives him hope or whatever, and he gives him all of Zeus's remaining magic, right? And then Zeus just transports him into Skyrim, to which he is picked up by the cart, the same cart the Dovahkiin was on, and he's taken to the jail. Then it just plays out from there. That's basically the cool idea that we started off with for this one.
Yeah, so it would essentially be... can you mute when I talk, just because it's echoing on my end for some reason?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
alright. So, it's like the case would be, since he's the non-playable character, obviously Kratos wouldn't be the focus, but he would be a very key sidekick in this story, and that Kratos provides... So you'll be aware of what Kratos is good at. He'll give you his backstory when you encounter him and you guys escape. And you could like build your character around what Kratos brings to the table. So without actually like necessarily power scaling, Kratos, why don't you go ahead and break down the tendencies, the traits, and the attributes that Kratos does bring to the table that would be valuable if you scale him to this new verse.
Yes. So the first thing would obviously be the magic, right? Like that's the first thing that he would be great at and would bring to the table. Then there's the fact that he was a Spartan general, and the god of war. So he has so much experience with leading and even working with people as well. So like working with the Dovahkiin wouldn't be a problem at all. So that's one good thing he would be good at. The magic, his hacks as well, with like all the soul shit. Like the soul stuff is probably one of his main key factors, right? Like his weapons, like there's just so much he could bring to the table. Like the Blade of Olympus with energy, like absorption and power nullification and so on. Like and brawling as well. Like Kratos is a brawler as well. Like there really is like a lot of shit that he could bring. Splash. It's just it's some crazy shit.
And we kind of agreed that an issue that would arise is Kratos doesn't take shit from anyone. And like one of the rules in the game is like if you get into a bar fight, let's say you pull up to a pub and some dude's talking mad shit to the Dovahkiin, he's like, all right, you know what, bitch, square up. And they square up and get the throw in hands. If you just throw hands, it's fine. Nothing comes of it besides someone just gets their ass kicked eventually. But we agreed Kratos would probably stab the fuck out of whoever's starting shit, which would obviously lead to some big fucking problems, especially if that city is like somewhere you need somewhere you need shit from. So like, and Kratos, you would say wouldn't pay off a bounty on his head, right? Like just would not fucking pay.
Nah, he would just kill the cunts that like hold the bounty on him and shit. Like, yeah, he doesn't pay bounties.
Yeah, so it's like I don't fucking know what they would do at that point. It's either at that point in the game, y'all are capable of killing the people in that village, or you just fucking leave and deal with that shit later. I mean, like he would, if he didn't have to kick their ass at that point and had the option to leave in order to progress on his main mission, he would do that, right?
He would definitely do that, because he would see that the journey is more important than some like assholes in a bar, you know? So yeah, he would just move on with his journey if that was a given option. But
yeah,
even then though, like it really depends actually on what they're doing. Like if they flat out like punch him, because again, it really depends on the Kratos. Like I know we said which Kratos, but like if this was current game Kratos, and it would be like a situation with Boulder. You know, Boulder rocked up, he's come outside, punched him a couple times. Kratos was like, "No, just leave," and then they refused that request. That's to the point where he would fuck them up, you know. But being as we're not using that mindset of Kratos, in the same sequence, right, in the novel, the narrator is basically telling the story, right? And it says in Kratos' thoughts, he said, if this were the old me, so the me from God of War 3, right, I just would have sprung through the doors and started hacking and slashing at him, right, and just killing him. And then he goes, but, you know, I'm more wise now, and so on. So if this is Ascension Kratos, he would probably be more wise, like current Kratos, and he probably would just move on if it was a given option. But if they refused that and still tried to like start shit, then he would probably still kill them.
Yeah, so I mean, some difficulties would arise as the Dovahkiin, but one of the good things for you is that if you have someone tagging along with you in the game, you can fucking leave them behind. Like, I got into some shit with a guy I hired to watch my back, and we started getting our asses kicked. So I was like, you know what, dude? Like, I'm just gonna fucking dip. If you survive, you survive. If you don't, like, fuck it. But like, you can actually leave non-playable characters to handle their business. So you could probably just leave Kratos and be like, all right, dude. Like, you started this shit. You can handle it. Just meet up with me later. And the NPCs have like a natural connection to the Dovahkiin, so like they'll be able to follow after they handle shit. So yeah, like that would actually be pretty viable. I didn't really think of that before, but another, like, I remember one time I left a fucking NPC behind to fight a dragon because I had to go heal and shit. And I was like, all right, he's gonna die. Yeah, I was like, he's gonna heal, and then, or no, he's gonna die. Well, by that time, I'll be straight. But nah, dude, he was he was still alive, holding it down when I got back. I was like, oh fuck, guy's a trooper. So like, it's very possible for that to happen. Now, I think Kratos and I kind of agreed. He said based on Kratos' personality that Kratos would stick to how he operates and not stray from the path as far as like accepting cult transformations into like werewolves or vampires. Yeah. He would
definitely stick to what he knows and how he does things.
Yeah, so he would operate that way. And as an NPC, you know, his value would come in like when you have to perform tasks that are military based, when you have to strategy to win more so over battling, like just straight trying to fight your way through shit. Like, do you want to kind of go over the misconceptions of Kratos' intelligence?
Yeah, so many people think that he is just this dude. He's just like a meat punching bag, right? And he's just like no brain, no nothing. Right, but that's actually quite the opposite, because he's a very, very intelligent person. Like, he served as the god of war for 13 years, a bit longer if I can remember correctly. He was a Spartan general for like, he became a Spartan general when he was like very young, right? So he's obviously skilled in that. And like, it's just, when it comes to intelligence, there's combat intelligence, you know, basic intelligence, which would involve like just strategy and so on, right, which would fall under combat and so on. And like, even with basic intelligence, with like figuring out puzzles and shit, like in God of War 3, in Hera's maze, Hera states that nobody's ever escaped the maze before, and he needs to use like fourth dimensional thinking powers and so on to like perceive things differently and like escape that way. It's like whenever he's faced with a difficult puzzle in God of War, he almost instantly figures it out in canon and just breezes through it. If you take Daedalus, for example, right, like he was doing the labyrinth, right, and it took him like 4,326 days to get where he got, and then Kratos comes in and he basically just forms the whole thing in like a fucking day, right? So he's definitely not, stupid or anything even near incompetent in like what he does, or anything in general. Like he's a very smart person.
Yeah, so like so for scenario 1, it's likely Kratos will survive throughout the game and achieve his goals as well as yours. You won't have an issue with him being a liability in combat because Kratos doesn't give a shit. Like he's gonna ride out on everyone. You beat Alduin and then they tell you he's not actually dead. He's at like a higher level of being, and Kratos would still tag along with you to go actually finish off Alduin in the spiritual realm. Yeah, so he would do that, it would make the game interesting because he's a weird balance of like fuck shit up and morals at the same time. Like he's not gonna sell his soul to a cult or like do crazy shit to get power, but he's also not gonna shy away from killing a fuck ton of people that annoy him.
And so, like the only instance where he did give up his soul for power was with Ares, right? And he regretted that, like for the rest of his days, because he that made him kill his wife and child. But like that's what that led to. So he definitely wouldn't be giving up his soul for more power when he knows what can come of giving up your soul and your livelihood for that type of thing. So yeah, he definitely would never do that again.
Yeah, so that's scenario 2. Now scenario 3, same storyline as far as Kratos. His world was consumed by Alduin. Zeus said, "Yo, avenge us, because this is fucked," and he sends Kratos to Tamriel in Skyrim, and you go from there as the playable character, so it'd be like a DLC edition. I think this would be just as interesting, if not more interesting, than the Dragonborn storyline, because obviously Kratos isn't a Dragonborn, so he's kind of got the way he finesses is a lot different. But one thing people don't really take into account for, or probably wouldn't, is that he can still absorb the soul of dragons because he has soul absorption abilities.
Yes.
Yeah, so while he's not like a natural Dragonborn or anything, he could still possibly learn dragon shouts and shit like that, because the Greybeards can do it. And then he would still be, after he kills the dragon, he'd be able to absorb the soul, amp himself further. So I don't see Kratos struggling in terms of developing as his attributes. Couple areas he would be weak in, because of his personality. You said was like blacksmithing, right? He wouldn't really care about that.
Yeah.
And then he probably wouldn't be on that hood rat shit, like just straight up stealing from shops whenever the fuck he wants.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, he'll rob the shit out of a bad guy, but just
yeah. So
doing...
if he's going up against someone and he notices that they have a powerful weapon and he goes, ooh, he'll kill you, and then he will take that weapon. Like if you look at Hermes, for example, like, he was fucking up Hermes, right? And he looked at his boots and he was like, I see you're running pretty fast with those, And then he cuts off his leg, steals his boots. And then like another instance with Helios is, your eyes and mouth can emit the powers of the primordial sun, huh? I'm gonna need that for dark areas. I'm just gonna hold you on my belt and shit. He like rips off his head. Like with Icarus, he ripped off his wings just so he could fly and glide and shit. So like, yeah, if he sees something that you have which he likes, he's gonna kill you with it, or he is gonna kill you, then take it.
Yeah, so like for scenario 3, obviously, because he is the main character, the game would conclude with him killing Alduin or beating Alduin. However, obviously he's not going back to his world. And then after that, I could see Kratos like just fucking beefing with Daedric princes because they're assholes. Like Molag Bal, he would definitely. Oh, dude, that'd be a fucking funny just rivalry because Molag Bal's like the Daedric Prince of rape and like destruction and shit.
Oh,
and,
Kratos doesn't like that. He's definitely
yes. So if like fucking Molag Bal tries the Oblivion shit again, where he like tried to tear open and absorb Nirn, Kratos is not having it. He's like, dude, fuck that, and he would probably go to Oblivion to fucking square up with Molag himself.
Yeah,
which would be funny as shit.
Yeah, and remember, we're not stating that like Kratos is at these levels in his own verse or anything like that, because Kratos would get stomped. Like if we're using his scaling, like this is all assuming that he would be relative in this verse and like progressed how a Skyrim character would progress or like a Skyrim player would progress. I feel like we needed to make that clear, you know?
Yeah, someone's gonna be a dick, but I do think so. Like Kratos, even as the main character, if you were to like max potential based on his personality versus Dovahkiin's max potential based on whatever personality you want, I still kind of favor Dovahkiin, but in certain scenarios, Kratos would probably stomp him in a pure one-on-one fight because that's more what like Kratos is gonna fuck you up. That's his game plan. Dovahkiin can be more finesse, more this, more that. So in those scenarios, Kratos would probably be superior. But maxed out Dovahkiin, like that's about it. I'd still favor Kratos. But anyways, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So the thing with Kratos is as well, like he won't let you power up or anything. You know, like this isn't going to be like a Vegeta letting Cell absorb Android 18, right? Like he like. If he has the chance, he'll kill you instantly. You know, like if he's fighting against you, I mean. So there will definitely be no instances where he'll be like, "Oh, let me just charge up real quick," or you know, whatever. Like he wouldn't let that happen. He would just instantly go for the kill if he had the chance to.
Yeah, and like last thing, this is something we probably also need to say when we're talking about the playable character version of Kratos. We're kind of assuming the player is going to be playing according to Kratos. Like, so if you use fucking Kratos in a game, you're going to want to do Kratos type shit with Kratos. You're not going to be on some weird thief stealth type shit. We're assuming like you're going to want to fuck shit up in the way Kratos would do if he wasn't a playable character. So that's how we kind of considered this working out. Anyways, Kratos, thank you for coming on the channel.
Thank you
for more Kratos shit. Let me know what y'all think of this. If you want to see any more videos like this, or you want to see maybe Dovahkiin going to Kratos' verse, let me know in the comment section. Anyways, like, subscribe, comment. It's been your boy Sir Splash and Kratos, and we'll see y'all later.
See ya.